Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm being joined by Joe J. Thomas. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's nice and sunny and unseasonably warm here in LA.
Oh boy, I wish I had some of that here in Chicago. It's pretty cold.
Yeah.
So, we have some questions we'd like to ask you. First of all, what is it like working in the industry today?
Well, it's uh, I get to meet all sorts of people. So some of the people have been in the industry a lot longer than I have, and from what they tell me, even when I got in about 12 years ago, maybe a little longer, and from what they say, the industry had already changed a lot at that point. Like when I got into it, I was able to buy a pretty good home studio setup for not too much money, and a lot of the auditions were send them from home as MP3 files, which before that point you had to basically go to the go to your agent or go to the studio to do stuff. So it's in a lot of ways it's a lot easier now, but because of that, the competition is larger. There's a lot more people who are in the game. So but I do occasionally get to go to casting studios or where they want to see you in person or direct you, and that's actually kind of a treat now. It's everything else is the vegetables, and that's more like the ice cream sundae.
I like that. Second question, what is your favorite show or game you have worked on?
Let's see. Well, I know probably the one I've gotten the most fan mail on for a role is Tales of Vesperia, which
Hmm.
I guess the whole Tales series is huge, both in Japan and in the U.S. So in that I played Raven, who's actually kind of close to the way I am. He's a little smarmy, and his voice print isn't too far off from mine. So he was easy to get into, easy to play. He had kind of a hidden dual nature, which if you haven't played the game, I won't ruin for you. But that was that was fun, and so that's probably my favorite game role. And then anime wise, I actually really liked in Bleach. I got to play a Bount. I don't know if you're familiar with the Bleach series. They had a number of episodes. They've got hundreds of episodes, but they had a whole series of episodes where they had these creatures that could take energy, life force from you called bounce. And mine was this really old guy who rode a wooden fish, like this huge wooden fish called Baura. So he was a lot of fun to play. He'd be like Baura, and this giant fish would come out of the ground and swallow people up. And so he was probably my favorite anime role to play. So
All right. Speaking of long running series, what was it like working on Hunter x Hunter?
well, that's that one's actually a fairly for me a fairly recent one, even though it's been around for a while. Um,
Hmm.
but that's another one where the character is really distinctive. He's very low key most of the time. He's kind of like a strong, silent type. Um, so he's another one where it's always surprising when something happens to him that he's not expecting, and he'll fly off the handle, and you're like, "Is this the same guy?" And he's I actually grew my hair out so that I look more like him.
Nice. All right. Third question, and here's one that's very unique for most fans. What was it like working on March Comes In Like a Lion?
That one I had a few small roles in, and I'd worked with the director before, and so she called me in to do some of the smaller ones, and sometimes on especially the larger anime series, you'll get they're written very well, and because of that, they've got your main characters, then you've got like the secondary cast, and then there's a whole slew of incidental people, shopkeepers and guys you run into on the street, or people who give you information when you're looking for something. And that, I think I ended up playing a whole bunch of smaller characters. And on that, the challenge is when you go into the studio, you don't know what they're going to throw at you. So you kind of have to be on your toes the whole time. And you could be, you're an old painter. Okay, I'm an old painter. Now you're a guy who's mugging somebody. Okay, now I'm a guy who's... So you have to flip around quite a bit, age-wise, vocal print, to get different sounding characters so that when somebody watches it, they don't say, well, that's all the same guy. Yeah. So that was on shows like that, the challenge is to have everything be distinct so that people, when they listen to it, they don't know you're the same person. Yeah.
Fourth question, was that working on Treasure Island?
Oh, I like that one. That I got to play this old hermit guy. He's, cranky and crotchety and crazy out of his head, and so there was a lot of physicality with that one. I remember when I did the sessions, it really took it out of me because you have to have this balance of keeping your head still because the microphone's very sensitive, and then being very active with your body to get the physicality of the character. And he was running and jumping and doing crazy things. He was a ton of fun. I haven't seen the final version of that. I'd love to see that because I like the old Disney version of Treasure Island with the live action actors. But this was completely different. Yeah.
All right. Next question. What was that working on Durarara?
Oh, Durarara. Oh, he was on that one. That was another character where the character himself was kind of low key, but he had a very good storyline that went all the way through. His daughter was involved with some sort of a mystic force, and there were gangs on two sides of gangs, and he had to deal with that. And he's kind of investigating, but and that one also, the character, the reporter, at the end of the first season, it ended pretty dramatically. I'll put it that way. And I'm like, well, this guy's not coming back. And sure enough, they're like, oh, he was just in the hospital. It's like, oh, I get to come back and do more. So that was a really nice surprise. The characters actually lived and can go on and do more. But because I could have sworn, I'm like, okay, nobody can survive that. But in anime, sometimes you see somebody fall off a cliff and they get up and dust themselves off.
This is a good show.
Yeah.
All right. Now I got a video game question for you. What was it like working on Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia?
Oh, that was on that one. I'm trying to think what my role on that one was. Oh, that was I was Dean on that one. He's kind of a smart mouth guy. He almost like he's got an attitude to him. So he was fun to play, and that one's more of a like a fighting game. So in addition to having the dialogue lines and the interaction with the other characters, you also had all the hu and ha and he and the action moves and his signature pieces. Just as a general comment, so people know, a lot of times on these, they'll say, "Oh, you worked on this. What was it like to work with, one of the other actors?" And most of the time I don't get to meet them unless there's a party at the end or something like that. It's me in a booth with the guy who wrote, usually the guy or girl who wrote the script, and then the person directing and an engineer. And you come in pretty cold, and the director tells you, in this scene, this is what's going on, and they direct you through the lines. And it's really fascinating when you see the final product, and you'll see something like a cutscene where they have a dialogue between 2 or 3 characters, and it's all cut together, and you go, yeah, it looks like we're all in the same room when this got recorded, but yeah, it was just me, and everybody else was recorded separately. So on this one in particular, there were some good interactions where this and the other one I mentioned, Tales of Vesperia, really good character interactions, and it's amazing how the director takes all the credit for getting the cast to fit together so well, because without them, I wouldn't know how the dialogue went. So, yeah.
All right. Now I got a fun question to ask you. If you could be any character you have played in real life, who would you be, and you can mix and match?
Ooh, mix and match. I think I'd probably mix. This is going to be a weird one. I'd probably mix. I got to play Lex Luthor in Mortal Kombat in their crossover, and he was in his like robotic power suit kind of guy. So I really liked playing him because he just was very evil. And then for some reason, I keep getting cast as evil or creepy characters. So so I'd probably combine him with somebody who's really creepy, and then you'd end up with somebody who you wouldn't want to meet anywhere. Dark alley, bright alley out in the middle of the street.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
Hey, I'll take it. All right. Another question: is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in at this time? NDAs.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of non-disclosure stuff. Every time I go in, it's like I swear, okay. Side story: when I did the Skeleton King for Diablo, and I recorded the first session for that 4 years before the game came out. So, and we had maybe 4 or 5 sessions total over the 4 years where they were writing new dialogue for him. And the whole 4 years, my agent knew, I knew, my wife knew, and that was it, because I wasn't allowed to tell anybody else. It's exciting when you get something like that, but then it's a little frustrating because you have to wait. I can say there's some cool stuff in the pipe, and it'll be out at some point, including like this month. I just posted, I think, somewhere, Twitter or Facebook. I did so far this month. I've done like 4 different games and one anime series that's really popular. That's a good one. And then a pilot for some cartoon show out of China, and a trailer for another video game. And it's like, okay, I can't talk about any of these. But you can, a lot of times I'll update my site, which is joeactor.com. And I also have I think we're zoning into the next question. I also have a blog, which if people want to read completely random stuff that comes out of my head, I have Joe's Dump, JOESDUMP.com. And it's my weekly blog, and I try to do something creative every Monday. It kind of keeps me, keeps the creative juices flowing. I used to do a lot of theater, so this is a different outlet. So sometimes it's audio dramas. I just finished posting a 3-part Doctor Who one that I did with some other people. Cartoons, I've dabbled in that. Fake commercials, parody songs. Some of those have been on Dr. Demento, if you're familiar with him. So it's completely random. Like this coming week on Monday, I'm posting about what underwear I wear. So you can see how completely random that is.
Good Lord.
Yeah, because you don't want to go into the studio just wearing plain underwear. So I try to buy odd stuff. It's the kind of stuff where you go, oh, is this for ages like 8 and younger? It's like, no, they make it in my size. Okay, I'm buying it.
Oh. All right, since you really mentioned Facebook, do you have a Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media for the fans to contact you?
My Twitter is Joe's Voice, JoesVoice. That's probably a good way to follow. I'll post like new project stuff there. Any new animes or commercial stuff, or retweet from other studios of stuff that's released. That's probably the best way to connect. Joe's Voice on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this interview. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. And we also want to thank our fans for tuning in for this other edition of the Ohio Guys. Thank you all. My name is Christian, and he's Joe, and we'll see you all next time. Bye now.